How lean are you really? Oftentimes people will undershoot or overshoot how lean they are and what their body fat percentage is. So in this video, we've drawn up the body fat aesthetics scale, showing the relative effects of your body fat percentage to your aesthetics. And along the way, we go over key checkpoints and areas that are revealed depending on your body fat percentage. So right off the bat, we can notice that you get exponential rewards for how lean you are. Essentially, this just means from 25 to 17% body fat, you will see a little bit of difference in your aesthetics, but it's only really after that the results in your aesthetics become exponential. And that's because you simply have a thinner layer of fat to lose. And as we can see, 90% of the rewards you will get is from that 15 to 10% body fat range, which you can see the key features that are revealed that we really want. And also guys, a lot of you get this actual number mixed up. You get it way off, and we get hundreds of questions of guys asking for our opinion on what body fat percentage they are, and there's just literally not enough to keep up with. So we decided to offer you guys actual proper in-depth physique analyses where we go over everything, including your body fat percentage and your key strong points, weak points, things that you need to work on, and how to fix them, a game plan going forward. It's the first link in the description. So before we start, we also got to mention that there is a pretty big deviation to these points, right? Let's just say your bicep vein might not actually be here. It depends massively on the individual. Some people have these in completely different orders, right? Your bicep vein might not come through at 15%, it might come through at 20%, or it might come through at 11%. Fat distribution is very widespread among individuals, but for 90% of people, this will be the pretty common pattern. So at 25% body fat, around this range, you'll start to lose that muffin top, which is this. And this is a massive area that people are very insecure about, and we get a lot of questions about how to actually get rid of this and when will it be lost. It's below 25%. Yeah, and I'd say this is the first rewards that you start to see from your weight loss journey. It's all around the midsection. This will suck in first, and only then will things start to sort of lean out a bit and definition will start to show. At 20%, you start to develop the shape of your pecs rather than just having man boobs. You might actually start to see a bit more of a squared off outline of an actual pec there, especially if you have some solid muscle mass underneath. And beneath 20%, so roughly 19, 18%, your belly will actually shrink, so it will be behind your pecs. It won't just be sticking out. You won't have this like plumboism look anymore. And you'll start to get some facial definition around this 17% range. Could be higher, it could be lower depending on your genetics, but you'll start to get like that jawline. You'll actually start to see a bit of structural integrity to your face. You don't just have that moon face, that smoothed over face. So now at about 16, 15% is when you might start to see the outline of your abs. The 2-pack at the top, or maybe even a 4-pack, will start to show in really good lighting. This is probably the furthest I'll ever take a bulk, and no one should even really get to this point. I will never let my 4-pack disappear. Okay, so then we get to that 15% range where results start to stack up quickly. The rewards become evident. You start getting that bicep vein just when you're relaxed, or you've got a lot of blood flow in your arm. You'll see either that vein that goes straight down the bicep, or maybe some ones that go across. And then you get a little bit leaner and you start to see those love handles go. Your waist starts to shrink. You start becoming more aesthetic. Yeah, it's around here where if you have like tight underwear on, it doesn't sort of like fold over it. There isn't like a crease there. And then we start to get into actually real good aesthetic lean territory. This is when you have a true 6-pack. I'm not talking about a 4-pack. I'm talking about the bottom 2 start to come in. And then at around that 11 to 10% area, it's very likely that you'll get true striations. And by true striations, we mean you have like a slight bit of tension on the arm and you might get some striated delts. You'll start to see some feathering on the tricep. Yeah, even maybe your upper pec might separate to your lower pec when flexed. You know, muscle groups themselves start to break up into little bits of striations and like sub-muscle groups. Now we're getting into very lean territory, and this is where things speed up and you start looking like, holy shit, like shit's coming in everywhere. This happens towards the tail end of the diet. So this is where you start to get evident shoulder veins, and you start to get spider veins along your arms. You know, you might get them curling around your forearms, maybe even shooting up down the side. This is where like your arms and shoulders really start to look freaky, and there's proper separation there. And then around that 10% mark, for most people, you'll start to notice some serious facial aesthetics, which is an absolute game changer in terms of general aesthetics and how you look in general. You'll start to get these hollow cheeks, your cheekbones will start to pop, you'll get a nice defined jawline. And then at sub 10% body fat, we start to notice some pretty freaky results. Things like ab veins. I've actually always got the bottom ab veins no matter really how fat I get, but you'll start to notice it creeping up your abs. By these ab veins, we're talking about like sideways across the top of your abs all the way through here. I'm not talking about the ones down here near your cock. And then past like 9% is where you start to get into really not sustainable territory. This is where you start to get some drawbacks, and you only really ever want to get this lean if you're either cutting for a fight or cutting down for a bodybuilding show. This is where your hormones will crash. Below like 9% body fat, you're on such low calories that you don't have enough fats in your diet to support your hormone system, so your testosterone will drop to stupidly low levels. You might not even be able to get your dick up. You'll also start to notice this death face, this really sunken in look. People get this from Ozempic a lot. It can also be an effect of malnutrition and you're just not getting enough vitamins and nutrients. Yeah, this was the Conor McGregor look leading up to the Aldo fight. Yeah, you look like a skeleton, bro, and this is just not sustainable. This is really only towards like for some really specific goal. This is a rough idea of what happens at what body fat percentage, and the reason that I was really motivated to make this video is because we get so many questions of you guys coming to us talking about stubborn fat areas or stubborn areas that won't go away. I've got this sort of piece of fat here. The answer is always the same. It's to get leaner, right? Things are going to disappear regardless of how lean you get. And it happens almost in order. If you reckon you've got stubborn love handles, which honestly, this is like the most common area that people seem to think is stubborn, you just haven't got the discipline to get to a low enough calorie intake to get below 15 or 14%. Yeah. The truth is getting below 15 to 14% is what really requires a very dialed in diet, a pretty strict diet and a clean whole foods diet. And that's what most people aren't willing to do. And that's why a lot of gym goers hover around that like 15, 16 and onward % body fat. And they don't really see these really great results that come from actually being properly lean, because it's comfortable being around here. You can almost just eat intuitively. Most people will stay around here or even around here somewhere, depending on your genetics. And I also want to mention before we close up the video, getting towards here, you are risking muscle loss. We want to be training consistently throughout the whole thing. That's a non-negotiable. Train hard, train as hard as you can. But towards here is where you really just don't have the caloric intake to even sustain your training, and your lifts will start to go down. And if that is the case, if you're seriously losing strength, that's where you stop the diet. If you are in the position where you do have these stubborn love handles, or even you're just trying to lose the muffin top, or you're stuck at any way along here and you need some help and some guidance going forward, reach out to us, man. Hit us a message on Instagram or go to the second link in the description. You can book a free call with us, just a free consultation. We'll talk about a game plan going forward, where you're at now, how to solve it. Let's get you fucking diced. Let's get you shredded. Let's build you the AAA physique, because I want to see the transformation happen as much as you do. Comment any questions you have. We literally reply to like all the comments. We're just super autistic about it because yeah, I truly do have a vested interest in helping you guys. And that being said, we'll see you in the next video.